There we go. And welcome to the rehearsal stage, my loves. It is so good to see all of you. If you can, go ahead and get your cameras on. If you can't, I completely understand. I know that some of you are tuning in while you're driving or at work, etc., etc. We sent an invitation to a small group of folks today. And so I only expect maybe about two more ladies to show up with you. I wanted to create an intimate group. We've been going so hard and strong all week, my loves. And it's been simply amazing. And so I want to help you to gain some momentum on your speaking vision. Now, I know that some of you have your cameras off, but you can participate by raising your digital hand. To raise your digital hand, the only thing you have to do is go along your toolbar at the bottom and press raise hand. And then when you're done voting, or if you want to say something when you're done, you can press lower hand when you're done. Okay, got another one. Hi, Sandra. I see you popping in, my love. Good to have you back. If this is your first time with us, put a one in the chat. I want to know if it is your first time with me here. Let me open up my chat space so that I can see if we have any ones in the chat. No ones. Okay, great. So perfect. So I don't have to go into all the introductions. I know that oh, we got one. Okay. All right, Jakora, welcome, loves. Welcome to the rehearsal stage. Hey, listen, this is where Powerhouse ladies like you come, we meet, so that we can help you to 10x your speaking game. All right. I don't profess to be a gifted speaker, but I am a courageous speaker. I'm just a woman who was a teenager with a speech impediment, and I stumbled through my words. And with the grace of God, I was able to champion that. And now here I am, a paid speaker who is coaching other women on how to become paid speakers. Wouldn't it be great to just show up for work and know that this is all you need and that you can make money, that you don't have to go and collect a whole bunch of tools like wrenches, and you don't have to bring a piano with you. It's just like, this is all I need, and I can show up and I can just get paid to use this instrument right here that God has blessed me with. Yeah, you absolutely can, loves. And so this is what I want you to do. I want you at this time to think about one reason, one thing that is keeping you back from getting on stage right now, because I want to address it and I will not hold back. You have an option. You can press raise hand, and you can share that thing that is holding you back. You may say, Queen, the thing that's holding me back is that I don't like the sound of my voice. Or the thing that's holding me back is I don't know where to find clients. Or I don't know how to write a presentation. I don't know how to get paid speaking gigs. I want you to think of that one thing that you know that if you were able to gain some wisdom on it, you know right now you could make at least one bold move today on behalf of your vision, if only you acquired some knowledge, some wisdom on that one thing. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to just kind of think of that one thing. I know it can be challenging to call into awareness that thing that's anchoring you down. Raise your hand if you've ever had a coach before. Some of you are already in my coaching program. So if you're already in my coaching program, you don't have to raise your hand. Raise your hand if you have worked with a life coach or a speaking coach or a business coach or a health or relationship coach before. Raise your hand. Or put a 1 in the chat if that's easier than raising your hand. Okay, great. All right. Of course, Deneen. So let me say this, loves. When you are working with a coach, one of the most challenging things is extracting information from him or her. That means that you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable and honest about some of the things that are going on in your life. I can't tell you how many times I speak to women. I have to break through those barriers of it's not a competition. Those barriers of, I always have to be tough, and because I'm the one who everyone is depending on, and I always have to be tough, I can't be vulnerable and let you know what's really going on with me. Now, I'm not asking for your life story, but I'm asking you just to be honest about one thing that you would like to have some knowledge on so that I can help you to get on stage, or I can help you to launch your business. You may say, I don't want to get on stage, I just want to launch my business, but you're still in the right place. I once owned 2 6-figure producing vegan restaurants. I also owned Rare Commodities, an e-commerce business, for many, many years before I sold it. So I can help you with that. If you say, well, I'm in multi-level marketing and I have issues with that, I can help you with that. And here's how you know that you are facing challenges. If for the past 2 years, including this year, if you set a goal to make $250,000, but you're only making 100K, then there are some challenge. There are some challenges there. That means that you are paying $150,000 every year in ignorance tax because you don't know how to close that gap between 100K and 250K. If you say, God is calling me to step on stage and speak, but I'm not getting on stage, and maybe you spoke virtually one time and you haven't been on any stages, then there is a knowledge gap that needs to be closed. That means you're paying some ignorance tax somewhere and you need some wisdom poured into you. That's all that is. We all need it. There's no shame in it. So the 2 minutes to just come up with one business conundrum around speaking, around life coaching, around how do I drive transformation with my clients, anything that relates to business now. Your 2 minutes to think of one challenge that you're having, it begins now. And then when you come up with the challenge, if you would be so kind, you can type it in the chat, or no more than 2 of you, I would love for you to actually unmute and share once we come back. Your 2 minutes to just focus and think. 2 minutes to focus and think now. It begins now. If you already know what that challenge is and you want to share it, go ahead and raise your hand. Again, to raise your hand, the only thing you have to do is go to the toolbar down below and press raise hand. If you find reactions, it's up under reactions, or you can just press raise hand because I've added it to the toolbar at the bottom. Another 30 seconds to come up with your challenge. Great. We have Tara, we have Ms. D. Those are the 2 that we're going to take. Everyone else, if you would be so kind as to write your challenge in the chat space, because I want to go ahead and pour into you on this subject of what your conundrums are so that you can go and spend some time with each other, just sharing ideas. All right. So 30 more seconds to come up with your conundrum. Okay, let's go ahead and start. We're going to start with Tara or Tara. I had my best friend in high school. Her name was Tara, and everyone would pronounce it Tara. And she'd be like, no, it's Tara. And I have a suspicion that yours may be the other way around. So we ended up calling her T for short. So, Tara, go ahead and please correct me in love if your name is not Tara and say, yes, it's Tara. The mic is yours. Go ahead and unmute, my love.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. No, it's definitely taller. And
Okay.
I have to correct everybody. When I was younger, I used to just let people mess it up. But then as I got older, I realized that I need to correct people and pronounce my name correctly. But yes, it is tall.
Wonderful.
I would have to say that my roadblock or hurdle is just feeling secure in my current position of life, status, experience. To know that everything that I've been through, where I'm currently am at in life right now, is enough to be able to start speaking and coaching. Sometimes I feel like maybe I'm not far enough in my actual life that I might not be experienced or far enough in my life to actually start speaking and helping others.
Oh man, this is a great conundrum because it sounds to me like you feel like your brain hasn't collected enough evidence to say, yes, you are ready to start helping other people. Is that about correct?
It is, but the crazy thing is also that when I start listening to other people talk, and it validates everything that I already know. And I just be like, yep, I knew that. Yeah, I know that. But for some reason, I can't just wrap my mind around, like, girl, you know enough. You don't know how long them people study, but you follow them, you listen to them, and you know you put in enough time. But I can't get my feet to start running.
Oh my goodness. Yes, I know that feeling. Oh my goodness. How many of you can relate to Tara? How many of you feel that way as well? Put a yes in the chat if you felt that way as well. Like, I know I have this calling. I know that I am supposed to be helping people, but for some reason, I feel like I'm anchored. Yes, absolutely. Daily, Miss D, Jelona. Yes, yes, yes. It's just amazing one to just know that you're not alone with that. So, one of the things, if you don't mind me making a few recommendations, and this goes for everyone, so I may kind of go around the world. And what I love about the process of it is is that when you do these exercises to help you to collect the evidence, one, to know that yes, you are ready, it not only serves as something for you, motivation for you, but it also becomes a tool that you can repurpose. So, like for example, and I'm gonna see if I can get to it while I'm talking. So, if my speech becomes a little muddled, it's because I'm multitasking, and there's no such thing as multitasking. But I want to give you a resource if I can find it. One of the things that you can absolutely do is to create a resume, but not any type of a resume. It is and I may find it before, I'm going to wait and look for it before I send you guys into a breakout room and just drop the link in the chat and you could just duplicate it. But it is a very specific resume, and it almost feels like you're creating your speaker one sheet. Tara, have you created your speaker one sheet yet?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So when you plug in the answers to your speaker one sheet and you see just how qualified you are, it'll blow your mind. I've had women who were mothers and wives to do this exercise, and they wanted to give leadership classes. And they were like, I'm called to teach leadership, but I've never been a leader. And by the time we broke it down and we were able to extract how they were spearheading PTA and volunteer work, and we were able to extract those skills, they were ready to soar. The next thing I would say is accountability. Do you have any systems of accountability in your life, Tara?
Um, yes and no. My best friend, but we so much alike that she will hold me accountable, but she will also let me off the hook because she want me to let her off the hook sometimes. So
Oh my goodness. See, that's the beautiful thing about having a coach because your mom, your friends will be like, baby, you exhausted? Go ahead and sit down. You deserve a break. But when you have the right people in your life and the right systems, they will allow you to take a 2 minute break, but they won't allow you to quit. And there are a lot of people who are doing things right now, again, going around the world a little bit here, who are functioning in their career, but they're on autopilot and they quit a long time ago. But they're just showing up, but mentally they checked out a long time ago. And so having systems of accountability can help you with that. Let me share a system of accountability. Your goal is to get on stage and share your message with people, right, Tara?
Yes.
Okay. So a system of accountability that you can create for yourself is to start marketing for that event. To say that in 30 days or 60 days, you're going to launch what is a placeholder name for your event? What's something we could just possibly use as a name for your event right now? You help who to do what?
Everybody to just understand themselves.
Okay, all right. So you're more so a coach or a speaker or a mentor, an advocate or a strategist that helps people to tap into their more authentic self so that they can live the life that they want to live versus living the life of regret. Something along those lines, something like that.
Yes, ma'am. Using numerology. Yeah.
Okay, using numerology. Okay, that's an important piece to put that
Yeah.
methodology into it. Okay. And so when you stop, so one, I would definitely put that out. I would just go to Canva because you have Canva, right? Canva.com.
Yeah.
Okay, I would go to
Uh-huh.
Canva and I would go ahead and I would just come up with the event. Because I will tell you, love, if you are proud of your very first event, you waited too long. I can't name not one person. Put a one in the chat if you were super proud of your very first event. Like the people showed up. My very first event, like 5 people showed up, and by day 5, I only had 2. Just know that you got to go through that, and we call that failing forward. You're just failing forward. Means it is a worthy fail. It is a fail that's going to catapult you because we learn more when we're down in the valley than we do when we're on mountaintops. And so again, number 2, go ahead and create some systems of accountability. Best friends are great, but you need a community of people who are going to constantly be checking in and pouring into you so that you can have that gravitational pull towards your goal. So the first thing is that resume piece, and I'm gonna see if I can scour and find it. And then the second thing is that accountability piece. All right. So now your talk, do you want to do it virtual? You want to do it on face to face, or you want to do a hybrid of both?
A hybrid of both.
A hybrid of both. Okay. So now the third thing I need for you to do is start finding the who. Finding the who. In other words, and this will tie into your accountability as well, love. When you go and you hire a virtual assistant, someone to come on and work the Zoom for you, you're probably going to use Zoom if it's going to be a hybrid. Most people do, to work the Zoom for you, and you pay that person $60, $100. You guys know you can get a virtual assistant for $20 to come on and sit on Zoom for an hour and work and allow people in and answer the chat. It doesn't cost that much. Now, if you want a spectacular one, it will tap into premium prices then. But right off the bat, or you can just ask your cousin, your sister, or your best friend to work Zoom for you. It's not that difficult. And you just do a quick rehearsal with them. But once you pay that person money, chances are you're going to go through with the event because you have paid that person money. You can't get that money back. So definitely find the who of the workshop. Have you sat down and just wrote everything out and mapped it out? Like you mapped out the title, you mapped out who it's for, you mapped out, how long it's going to be, what you're going to talk about. Have you done that yet?
No, I think the first time I sat down and wrote everything out, I kind of jumped the gun. Like I wrote everything out like as if I was doing an actual face-to-face retreat. And then I kind of like discouraged myself and was like, well, maybe I just get back. And then I just left it alone after that.
Yes, yes. Well, please write it out in its entirety. In Proverbs, it says to write that vision out and make it plain. Harvard University has also done tons of studies on writing goals. We've all heard of SMART goals, but actually writing that stuff out, it brings so much power to your vision. So please write it out. Just schematic that thing out. I wish I had time where I could break open my iPad and schematic it out with you. But please write it out. we're going to be doing the rehearsal stage once a quarter. We actually is not supposed to be doing this one, but I wanted to meet with a small group of women who maybe just needed a little push today towards God's calling for them, and I wanted to be obedient to that. But the next time we meet, love, make sure you have that done so that you can ask me specific questions, such as, like when I get to, let's see, what was her name? To Judy about the pitching. I'm going to be able to answer very specific questions because she has it niched down to pitching. But my love, the only thing you have to do is just do it. Because when it comes to speaking is one of those things that I don't care how much you read. I don't care how much I tell you to breathe in, breathe out, give you boxing techniques and all this stuff and exposure therapy. It's one of those things that you get better at when you just do it. You have to collect the evidence. And then once you also see the evidence of all the people who are wasting their lives away, who are dying because you failed to fulfill your call. Do you guys know what the Greek definition for sin is? Like if you look up the word sin, S-I-N, sin has a lot of definition, quite a few definitions. But one of its base, the etymology of the word sin, one of its base definition is sin means to miss the mark, miss the mark. And there are a lot of people who are sinning and they don't realize it because they think of sin as this big thing like, oh, I didn't lie, I didn't kill, I didn't covet. But sin means to miss the mark. You can miss the mark and not being obedient to your calling. You can miss the mark by saying, I'm going to take this job over here because it pays well, but I know that in my heart, I'm in alignment with this, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing over here. We can miss the mark in so many different ways by being disobedient. I want to help you guys to hit your mark. And I am telling you that if you do not be obedient to God's calling, there are some consequences. I mean, some serious consequences. I spent one day last month, and I do this like once a year. I sit and I read through obituaries. I shouldn't say obituaries. I read letters that people wrote when they suicided. Like their last words on the letter, hey, I'm about to do this, forgive me, and this is why. And they're pouring their heart out and they go off and they do they either attempt suicide or they suicide. It's really some fascinating stuff. And in almost every last one of those letters, I'm like, wow, in my heart, it feels like if only they had this one resource, this one person looking out for them, women, men who were molested, who just kept it inside because of the stigma and they were afraid to share it. A woman who was in debt to the IRS, and every night she was in fear that they were going to come take her house, her cars, her everything. She thought about killing herself and her kids, but she just killed herself. Just these problems. And I'm like, where are the people? Where are the people? And it is really hard to see the signs of suicide. I mean, yeah, you can read some of the signs, but sometimes it's rather difficult. But still, just by virtue of being yourself and showing up and saying, this is who I am, world. So that way people can look at you and say, oh, she said this is who she is. So now I know how to extract from her. I know how to take from her. So we need you guys to show up. Just even without knowing all the answers, show up. Because like I always say, done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. Just get it done. Okay, my love? So hopefully, Tara, you will do at least one of those three things. All of those three things would be great. But at least one of those three things, because I'm telling you, if you sit down and you just give it the time, it becomes the thing that leads to the thing that leads to the thing. You sit down and you write that resume. When I find it, it's like 12 components that you have to fill out when I find it. But when you sit down and you write it, you're like, oh, and you're hit with an abundance of ideas for the next thing. When you sit down and you get the gist, go on and on, it'll be the thing that leads to the thing. So how do you feel about that, Tara? About what I just said?
I feel enthused and motivated. I'm definitely going to, for me, I feel like that is not taking off, but getting into the motion. So I definitely am going to put it in to go ahead and do all three to really get into it and to really start taking a move.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. But if not, if you don't do any of that stuff, then one of the best things you can do is to plug into a system of accountability, a coach, a mentor, an advocate, a community. There's so many of them out there. All of my programs are full. I don't have any programs to sell or extend to you guys today. Unfortunately, everything is capped out. But there are so many systems. And so you also have the rehearsal stage. And then on Tuesdays, we still do Kingdom Business. And so you can come there as well. And in the networking sections, you have an opportunity to pick from each other's brains. All right. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to Miss D. Miss D. Hey, love.
Hey everybody.
Hi, my love.
I don't want to be selfish because I know there's some other people in the chat. So I wanted to because you and I we're gonna meet again.
Yeah.
So I was gonna bring up I just want to make sure if anybody else wants to take my spot or because I know you had a couple of things in the chat, Joy or what's her anybody else. But if not, I can go.
No, we want to hear it. We want to know because
Okay.
a lot of the times when you guys raise your hand, you ask a question that somebody else has and just was not bold enough to ask, or you ask the question of that someone has. They're like, "Oh, I forgot. I do have that question. I'm curious about it as well." Please go ahead.
Okay, for you, those of you that don't know, I have Grace with Finances coaching program. So I have completed my ebook. I have completed my workbook for my coaching class. So I have my tools. So now God has laid it on my heart to start my book. So I kind of want to tell a little bit about my story, but I've never written a book before, so that's a little bit, challenging. So I've done an outline, of course, what the GRACE stands for, right?
Mhm.
And then I wanted to do kind of a little short story and kind of I just need to know my issue is what to share and what not to share, right? Because I don't want to put my whole coaching program in a book that you can buy for $20
Yeah.
or whatever, right? I'm just saying, right? Amazon, whatever, right? But I also want to share my story because I feel like I recently went on a trip with one of my girlfriends and we hadn't caught up, and right. And so after we did our little catch up, she was like, stop, you need to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
I had not even told her that I was considering writing a book,
Yeah.
right? And I just asked her why. And she said, several things that you said in the span of our conversation, someone definitely needs to hear this,
Yeah.
right? And so how, for those of us that maybe have written books before, how do you determine how much to share, what to share, and without giving away the farm?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It
What
does.
I'm asking?
Yeah, it does. This
Okay.
makes really, really good sense. One, I'm of two minds. One mind I am of is I completely understand that you don't want to give away all your secrets, especially for $20. I'm actually of three minds. The second mind I am of is a lot of the times when we pour our secrets into books, books are amazing, but statistics show that 100%, I'm sorry, 50% of the people who buy your book won't get past page 10. They won't get past page 10 at all. That's just how it is. And then the other 50% of the people who buy your book, they won't get past page 2. And it is something. Doesn't mean that your book won't be an anomaly. Doesn't mean that people won't read its entirety. But my point is that I think that I'm a little biased about it after reading the stats, because books are great because when you step on stage, people want to know how they can latch on to you. And having a product like a book is an absolutely wonderful product to give out, especially for people who are going to read it from cover to cover. But I'm of the mind that when we put secrets in a book, they don't help people because people aren't reading them. The other mind I'm of is give it all away. Give it all away, because as soon as you give away all of your secrets, God blesses you with even better ones. That's been my experience. That's why I don't hold back when I give out information, because every time I do, I know that God has to replace that. So you absolutely can do that. Now, with writing a book, because I've never published a book, I have a few books that I need to press publish on, but I've never published one, and I am in the process of publishing one right now. I've decided on which one I'm going to publish first. And I want to share some of the notes with you guys from some of the paid writing coaches that I've had. I opened up a document that I have, and so I'm going to read straight from some of it. So one of the things that when you write your book, it's the same thing. This may help you as well, Judy, because this is actually something that reminds me of pitching. When you're pitching and when you're writing a book, one of the first things they want to know is, what is your counterintuitive idea? Like, what is your idea that the world isn't talking about? Or it's kind of like a TED Talk, ideas worth spreading. They want to know, what is that idea? What makes your book different? And then you also have to go through the process of figuring out your proof of concept. In other words, are people actually interested in your topic? So you can talk about something that, like divorce. You could talk about divorce, and it's been talked about quite a bit. But what is your unique spin? Usually your story is your unique spin. And so you will probably need to share all the juiciness of your story. It's kind of like when Tara just now was saying, I got this calling to speak, but I don't, something is holding me back. I just haven't pulled the plug yet on doing it. And everybody was like in the chat, yes, I know how you feel. I felt the same way, that type of stuff. And what you guys did for Tara, you guys normalized it and said, hey, how you're feeling, that's normal. Don't feel bad. Don't feel weird. You can do this. I felt the same way. And here's where I am and what I did. And so when you share your story in your book and all of its twists and turns, you are normalizing it. When I wrote in one of my books, I'll give you an example. In one of my books, when I sent it up, I was talking about dating and how we need to calibrate our dating magnet, and how it's not the people, it's us and what we are attracting in the magnet. And if you take a magnet, you run over a trash can, you're going to attract trash, right? And I would question myself as if I wanted to share. I can laugh at it now, how I almost dated my cousin because we didn't have family reunions. And I'm in Georgia and I'm a teenager. And this man is like, oh, you so fine. Can I get your number? And I'm like, shoot, yeah. And gave him the number. and my daddy came and got me. And he was like, we're going to go over your cousin Lamille house. And I was like, okay. So we went over Lamilton's house. And Lamilton had a brother. And the brother came walking from the back. And I'm like, oh. They're like, your cousins. And so I was like, should I share that? But there are a lot of people who almost, or probably did, thankfully I didn't, but there are a lot of people who almost dated their cousin. And so that is something that I kept in that manuscript because I thought it was a great way to be vulnerable. People want you and need you to be vulnerable. Okay, so what is your counterintuitive idea? And so you can use this seed sentence to bring out your counterintuitive idea. And so you can use something like this seed sentence, and I'm going to drop this seed sentence in the chat, right? And the seed sentence is simple. It says, they say that blank, but my experience tells me that blank. And I'm going to drop this and I'm going to give you an example of what this seed sentence looks like. Drop this in the chat. And if you can fill in the blank with some juicy stuff, then chances are you have a really great foundation for a book, because whether you're pitching or whether you're writing a book, because a lot of times you have to pitch your book as well. Before people buy it, people are going to say, well, why should I buy your book? And so this seed sentence will help you. So for example, you may say, they say that women are the weaker sex, but my experience tells me that women are just as powerful. Now, I could put a spin on that and I could talk about women in the church. And if I say something like that about women coming off as the weaker sex, and I say, but my experience says, not only is that a counterintuitive idea, it's a controversial idea. It's almost polarizing. And I want it to be polarizing because polarizing sells, right? I'm saying what a lot of women are saying or what a lot of women are thinking, but may not have the gonads to say out loud. So fill in the blank with your own verbiage, because this helps you to get in touch with what makes you unique. It helps you to bring out your big idea. And you can even create a seed sentence for every chapter of your book as you're going along to make sure that you're using strategy. You're not just rambling in your book, you're using strategy. Okay, so then you have a few publishing paths that you can take that are known as the Big Five publishing paths. You can go traditional. If you go to traditional path when you're publishing your book, it's gonna be a lot more expensive. But if you go to traditional path with big publishers, then they want to know how big your platform already is. And so if you are thinking of authoring a book, then one of the things that you may need to do is build a community. You need to have a community of followers because publishers now want to know how many people do you have in your community, whatever your community look like. It could be your church community. It could be your business community. It could be your online community. It could be the followers from a subscription that you have or from when you're stepping on stage. That's why it's so important to start getting your face out there now so that people can see you. So you have what's called traditional with the publishing Big Five. Traditional is the first. The next one is something called indie publisher, indie. And I'm going to write this in the chat. So the first one was traditional. Traditional. Let me open up the chat here. So number one, come on, chat. Number one is traditional. The second one is indie publisher. And you can do your research on all of these. But indie publishers would be like Harvard Academic Press, places like that. These are different publishers that you can use. You can also do a hybrid. If you do something called a hybrid, then you pay for the print costs, the cost to print the book. And then you can do self-publish. And then the last one, it must be on another page or somewhere because I don't see the number five, the fifth one. Let's see. All right, now here are some other questions that I need for you to answer when you are writing your book. I talked about proof of concept already. Are people interested in your topic? Okay, then you do something called you test for white space. I'm gonna put this in the chat. I know it looks raw, but it's coming from my notes, love. And I want all of you to get something about it because most people say they're carrying around 2 or 3 books and they just haven't pressed publish yet. So proof of concept, white space. Oh, so you're going to test for white space. In other words, you're going to figure out why you are the only one that can write this book. And that's why it may be very important for you to be vulnerable in your story because your story makes it the reason why you're the one to write it. There's a book called Tame that I love. What is that beautiful lady's name? She was married. She wrote a book. She ended up falling in love with, she was married. They were in a Christian church. And then she ended up, her husband was just cheating on her left and right. And when he was cheating on her and she found out, she had just wrote this book about how they got the best marriage ever. And she had to go on Oprah and stuff like that and talk about how their marriage is the best thing to push this book when she just found out her husband is cheating on her left and right. And then so after that, she wrote this book called Tamed. And it's about how she was in love. She was following this Christian marriage and all this good stuff. And then all of a sudden she fell in love. They got a divorce and she fell in love with a woman and married this woman. And it was a journey that she had to go through. And this is a book that only she could write because of her experience of being in the thick of it, this book Tamed. And so I put some notes in the chat there from my actual notes that I wrote down about the book writing process. And it was important to me to read that book because although I am 100% heterosexual, I have a lot of people who come to me, and I need to be able to identify with them when they're on these different journeys. Like I have to read books about crack addiction because I don't know anything about that. I don't have experience in it. But there are people who come to me with those addictions, and I need to be able to understand and not judge, but understand their journey. So anyway, that's that. Okay, and then I'm gonna put this last set of questions in it. Oh, I already put it in there, did I? Nope. Okay, I'll put the last set of questions in there. The last set of questions I want you to answer is this. Who is the one person whose life will change after reading your book, after reading this book? All right. It may be the person that was you in the past. And what was her or his biggest pain, biggest problem or question? And then, oh, I love this exercise right here. Then after you answer all of these questions, I want you to write a love letter to your muse, that person whose life you're going to change. Write a love letter to that person, telling them how this book is going to resolve their problem. And I'm going to drop that in the chat as well. So I got 1,001 juicy details that can help you to format and launch and understand what needs to go into the book, because you don't want to put in fluff. After you do that research, I need for you to go in and research. For example, if you're writing a nonfiction book, it's supposed to have so many pages. If you're writing a fiction book, so many pages. There is a page requirement that people usually go by as a guide when you're writing a book. So write and write and write and vomit all the good details. But then after you do that and you have your format and your outline, go back and get the specifics. One of the things I will tell you, that a lot of these best-selling books that we all love are not written by the actual authors. They're written by ghost writers. There are ghost writers for you. For those of you that want to, like Judy, for your pitch, you can hire a ghost writer for that. You can hire a ghost writer for the social media content that you put out, not a social media content manager, because a lot of them are really great at responding to people really quickly, but a lot of them can't capture your voice. A lot of them they don't understand tonality. They don't understand all those good things. But if you hire an actual ghostwriter, even for the marketing that's on your landing pages and your websites, it will change the game. You can hire a ghostwriter for your speeches, even for your sizzle reels that you may decide to create in the future as well. So keep that in mind, because I have one good friend, and he has 3 New York Times best-selling books. And he just sent me his latest book. It's in the queue. I got a stack of books around here, y'all. And he tells everybody, I didn't write. He's one of those ones that he doesn't mind telling you, I didn't write it. And he's an English major. He's an English professor. He taught English at a major college for years. And he's like, listen, this writing book thing ain't no joke. I'd rather pay somebody $5,000 to go in and edit and ghostwrite the mess out of this thing and have a New York bestseller than to sit here and try to write everything and publish it on my own. So do your homework on it. No shame, no game. The ghostwriters will take your stuff to the next level, better than artificial intelligence chat GPT. All right. I went around the world just to make sure everybody got something out of it. Does that help you, Ms. D?
Yes, that helps me.
Okay, good. Make sure you guys grab all the questions, the information that I dropped in the chat to help you with your book writing. But that proof of concept is a really great place to start. Are people interested in your topic? You can go to sites like Amazon and read the reviews of different books, and read especially like 2-star reviews, 1-star reviews. When people say this book is all fluff, they didn't give us any strategy on how to get from point A to point B. And that lets you know, okay, people are interested in my topic, but they really want strategy. All right. Okay, so let's keep going. Let me change my view here. Okay, all right. Let me go to the next questions. I dropped some stuff in the chat, so now I gotta scroll up. Hey, Heidi. Good to see you, my love. Okay, okay. Okay. All right. Oh, go Joy. Go Joy. Go Joy. Is gonna prepare some gourmet vegan cheesecakes. You know those vegan cheesecakes, they do not expire. Like you can keep those in your freezer for like 4 or 5 years. Like
Yes.
I have vegan cheesecakes in my freezer right now, been there for a while. Yeah, absolutely. Like how to pitch them, how to pitch the vegan cheesecake. You can even follow that guideline I just put in the chat for pitching your vegan cheesecakes. Because here's what I want you all to remember. What I don't care what your product is, if you have a product to sell, and I love having products to sell. Like services are great. Like life coaching, most of you are life coaches. Life coaching is amazing. It really is. But it's one of those things where your business is completely dependent on you. Unless
Yes.
you have pre-recorded material, unless you create your VSLs. For those of you that don't know what a VSL is, VSL is a video sales letter. It's like if I were to record a training right now on 5 ways to publish your book in 5 days. It would sell like hotcakes. I would record it, make sure it's on a really nice system like Zoom, and then I would then take that video and upload it to some software and create an evergreen product. That way it can just circulate the internet where people can opt in and pay $97, $197 just to watch this video that I've already created. And I can get paid over and over and over again for what I did one time. It's kind of like multi-level marketing for those people who are in multi-level marketing. And so my point that I'm going to go back to is this. When you have a product, it's not dependent on you. You can train folks to sell your products over and over and over again. And your product, the sales of your product, it usually depends on what? Your story. It's your story. Facts tell, but stories sell. I will say it again. Facts tell, but stories sell. And then Judy, for your pitch as well, one of the things that I would do if I was looking through your pitch, I would definitely look at that story. Because again, when you are pitching, especially when you're pitching to investors, and this may be applicable to you as well, Joy, with cheesecakes, because eventually you may want folks to invest in your business.
Yes, they already want to.
Oh,
And
I love it. I love it. Yes.
I'm just trying to figure out, because people, I sell them to individuals and then others who just sell them in their restaurants or whatever. But
Yeah.
my mind is telling me you need to go bigger to like the airline industry, in-flight
Oh,
services, first class, and go
yeah.
to five-star hotels.
Hmm.
So I'm just trying to, be calm about it. But I'm excited. But
I'm
at the
excited
same
about your
time,
vision.
yeah, but at the same time, because that's how the creative brings things to you. And it's
Mhm.
like, okay, slow down, slow down, slow down. Wait, it's a lot. But
It's-
I'm just, I would love to pitch to airlines like Delta, an item they could serve in their first class or business class. Because
mhm.
people are wanting more healthy, gluten-free, soy-free,
They are.
vegan, dairy-free desserts. And this product is a winner, but I just,
You need mass
would like to go,
distribution. Right.
yeah,
Absolutely.
go bigger.
So when you pitch to these companies, they're gonna want to know about your background, about your brand reputation, because and that's why
Okay.
you have to. It's great that you're starting as going from small business to small business because it's gonna help you with your street rep, your reputation. How many of you have ever had the Patti LaBelle sweet potato pies? Raise your hand if you've had it. Let me see. Open them. Anybody
I've
had
heard about it.
Anybody had them? Sweet Patti LaBelle sweet horrible. I'm gonna say it. It's horrible.
I didn't like it at all.
But it's got you go to Walmart, Patti LaBelle, sweet potato pies. But here's the deal. She has nothing to do with those pies. They just bought her name. That's it. She makes millions and millions of dollars just to slap her name on those pies with no sugar, no honey, no nothing. In those they're horrible. But she makes and everybody's mad at Patti LaBelle, but because those pies are horrible, they think that it's her recipe, and it is not her recipe. They just Walmart was like, we need her name. I say all that to say that for you, love, they're going to want to know about your name. They're going to want to know about your reputation because they want to know if they work with you, are you going to turn out to be another Jared? Subway invested all that money in Jared and he became a pedophile and all this stuff. And they had to spend billions in retracting, getting his name disassociated with his brand. So you're gonna have to build up when you're dealing with big companies. My advice to you, love,
Okay.
would be to target one company, one good one, and use them as for brand reputation, for social proof, for when you are targeting airlines. Because I'm with you. When I fly, I hate that I can't find any plant-based restaurants in the airport. It aggravates me that I have
Yeah.
to go and just get noodles or something like that. But you definitely find one, and this one place, and then you can use them as a case study and say, hey, listen, I got these
Okay.
pies. I'm gonna, and you can almost kind of bribe them. I'm gonna give you, X amount of pies, and once you see how they
Yeah.
sell, and they sell really good,
Okay.
would you mind giving me a testimonial for one? And then two, then you can offer them an investment package and so on and so forth. But what I want to say about the pies is that make sure you have a story, and you can work with someone to really draw out your story, because again, the facts tell, the stories sell. You need to have a
Okay.
story. McDonald's, I'm not sure what their story is. I think I knew it once upon a time. But yeah, just get the story. I'm about to go into something else about systems, but please work on the story. And then with the investments, let me say that when you're dealing with big companies, and this is why I was talking about brand reputation. When you're dealing with big companies, their philosophy is, when it comes to investing, they invest in the jockey, not the horse. In other words,
Okay.
they're not investing necessarily in your cheesecakes, they're investing in you. That is how it works for
Okay.
investing, especially even for pitching, Judy. Even when you're pitching with big investors, if you want people to come in and invest and you want to take your company to the stock market and all that good stuff, they want to know about you, because the products that we have, a lot of the times they fizzle out. How many of you remember that the Zoom, the Zune, this little Zoom contraption? Probably not, but it was a Zoom. It was shaped like a rectangle, had all this music with this dial button in the middle, right? How many of you guys remember the Hewlett Packard? How many? Raise your hand if you got BlackBerry. Anybody got BlackBerry still? But you had a BlackBerry, maybe? No? Fizzled out, right? A lot of products come and go, and they fizzle out, and the next best thing comes. And so investors are hip to that. And they're like, listen, we invest in the jockey, the one that's riding the horse. We don't invest in the horse. So you got to have your story together. Yeah, they care about your horse, but it's more so about you, my love. All
So
right?
that's why I made it gluten, soy, dairy, and sugar free, and that's the seller. That's what people really love about it, and they are like,
Mhm.
"Wow, this is all of that's free. So what's in it? What's holding it
Yes.
together?"
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. How many of you um stopped going to a stylist even though that hairstylist was really good, but their personality sucked? Anybody ever been into that situation? So I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, I'm originally from Atlanta. And it may not be a stylist. It may be somebody else with goods and services. Like, their goods and services are amazing, but the customer service was horrible.
Yeah.
Stylist who did hair very well, but I found out she smoked. So I pulled up one day. I didn't know she was a smoker. I
Yeah.
pulled up one day, and she was outside smoking a cigarette. And she used to have my hair laid. And I stopped going to her. So people buy
Yeah.
you before they buy your product. And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. People buy you. You come in with a bubbly personality or whatever your personality is, people will buy from you. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully that helps you,
Thank
Joy.
you.
Yeah, but get that brand story together. And then it
Thank
will
you.
it will take a little bit of what Miss D has going on right now, but a little bit of vulnerability. It takes that. You got to be vulnerable if you want people to connect with you. If I came on and I was like, and I came on, I had diamonds all out my ears and a diamond dress on, and I'm sitting here eating lobsters, right, right now, and I'm talking to you guys, and I'm like, I just landed from Patty on my private jet. Let's talk about speaking. Now, I might be a character, but can I connect with you, right?
Right.
Your pain points of hey, listen, when I started off with one cheesecake. I couldn't get anybody to buy it. They discredited me because I told them it was sugar free, it was soy, like all that stuff you naming now. You and I, we know
Yeah.
that's some good stuff, but to some other people, they be
Yeah.
like, it ain't got no sugar. It ain't got no eggs. What? I don't want that. So you got to have a story, and you got to say, but then I took it to this person. Not only they fall in love with it, but they incorporated it in their diet and they lost 10 pounds. And it was everything to their
Wow.
quality of life, so on and so forth. However, you're going to bring that story together, but it is a story that can absolutely help you. Okay.
Thank you.
Done is better than perfect, Stevie. Done is better than oh, Heidi got me. I love you, Heidi. Love you too, Stevie. You're welcome. You're welcome, loves. Okay, I think I missed one other question that was about the pitching, and I think I may have answered it when I was answering some other questions. I love when we get together in small group like this. Let me tell y'all something. When you first start speaking, you feel bad when only like 3 people show up to your calls. You're like, just 3, right? You anybody like me, you do a self audit at the end of the day, and you're laying in bed, you're like, I did this right, I didn't do that right, I should have did this, I forgot to do that, and you're kind of beating yourself up when you do the self audit. Well, when I first started years ago, I would beat myself up, and I'm like, I'm just not doing. I know I'm a hard worker. Only my mama and my cousin came. True story. But let me just a pro tip. When you're speaking to an audience of 100 or more, usually at best you can motivate. You can motivate them, and motivation fizzles. They'll be hyped up for a second. Oh, I can go do this and do that, but it fizzles. But if you really want to affect change, have a few small groups like this. It's just so much more intimate. I love it. It's just amazing to me. I just thank God for it. And that's why I was like, yeah, we're going to do the rehearsal stage. I'm only going to invite a small group of folks to the rehearsal stage. Not everybody that's on my email list. You have to be at a certain point in my funnel to have received an email to this event today. That way I can actually get to know and see you. Because at some point, it's not about the numbers for me. Like, I'm here and I have nothing to sell you guys, but I'm still here. I have nothing to pitch you whatsoever because everything is full. But it's about getting to know you and you guys. And I just feel so grateful that you guys would share your journey with me. Just amazing. Okay, so let me jump in. Miss D, did you have something to say? For some reason, I don't know why I thought. Okay, no. All right. Judy, so you're not getting responses to your pitch, followed by not pitching, because I'm glad you put that followed by not pitching because you can't get responses to what you don't do. Because I was going to ask you about your follow-up. So first, since I was going to ask you about your follow-up, love, for everyone on here, you need to have SOPs for follow-up. SOPs are your standard operating procedures. Let me show you this right here. I'm going to share my screen and show you what I was looking at. Whenever I speak with someone, whenever I go to seminars, especially if they're virtual, I use Google Documents. How many of you are familiar with Google Docs? Anyone?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, Google Docs is free. And so I use it to take notes. And so I'm going to share my screen. And it's fine if you screenshot anything I have on, it's fine. This is the one I was reading from Faith Wrights, something I was working on. Let me share my screen here. All right. So whenever I am in a meeting with someone or if I'm in a class, and because coaching is a non-regulated industry, like you don't have to, you can just, anybody can say they're a life coach. You don't have to go to school. You don't need a certification. Because I respect the industry, this knowledge-based industry, what I do is, let me blow this up so you can see it. What I do is I create my own continued education courses. That means that I pop into other people's events, whether they're doing better or not better than me. Because it's not about competition. I just want to know. And you don't have to have millions of followers or have an email list that's bigger than mine. I can go to Miss D's class and I can learn a lot from Miss D. Right. And it's not about competition, especially when I'm rooting for you. But anyway, so I'll pop up to see what I can learn. And I always take notes. Some of you write your notes. I don't do that. I only write stuff like my mantras, that type stuff. I write my affirmations. But if it's notes, I type it all out. That way, if I am ever, just like now when Miss D started talking about books, the only thing I had to do was go to let me show you what it looks like. The only thing I had to do was go to my Google Docs right here and type in books like this. and it takes me there. I could have just typed in a specific word about books, and it took me right inside of the document. But my point is, you need SOPs. You can build your SOPs like you just saw some of mine right there, standard operating procedures. So that way, when you're taking notes, they don't just get tucked away and lost somewhere. You actually have a system that you can go to and rely on that will serve you. So let's say if right now Ms. D wants to engage in a conversation with me about credit score. Now, I know how to work finances, but for me to give a class on it, not my thing. But I can go there and type in FICA, for example, and a whole document will pop up, and I can start engaging Ms. D in conversation about it. Or if I want to write about it, because I've already stacked the notes, I would encourage you to do the same thing. Write out those SOPs. All right, your standard operating procedures, especially when you are just starting off. It is your systems that is going to have your back, love. And one of the systems that you can incorporate right now is your SOPs. One thing you can absolutely do that will save you so much time, you know how I'm always harping about the client avatar, is to go in and actually write out your client avatar work. So let me open up this client avatar, one of my old client avatar sheets that I have. Let's see if I can get to it fast enough. Okay, you see this. This is what a client avatar sheet looks like. This is one that I wrote years ago for my umbrella company, Rise and Rain. And so what I would do is to actually write it out in my SOPs. I would say, meet Lisa Mills. For Miss D, who's working on her book, she would write this love letter to her muse based off the information she's collected on her client avatar to help understand how she's driving change, why her book, how her book serves a purpose. Because everything that you do, whether it's a speech, whether it is a pitch, whether it is the book that you're writing, you do it to solve a problem. If you do not understand the problem that that book solves, sometimes it solves multiple problems, or your speech, then you're just rambling. Chances are it's not going to be the quality that you want it to be. Everything is strategy. You're no longer in the land of just rambling and just doing stuff just to do it. Everything is based on strategy. There is a why behind everything that you're doing, and there's a formula that you can follow to pull that out. Now, you can start off by doing your client avatar. Where your client avatar, you're going to make sure it has psychographics, demographics. You want to know a day in the life of your client avatar, that type of information. This right here, when you sit and you write out your client avatar, it becomes the gift that keeps on giving, because you'll then need it for when it's time to market. Because when I talk to all of you, I'm not talking to Miss D and Heidi and Joy and Tara and Judy and everybody else. I am talking to, if I'm going to use this client avatar, I'm talking to 100 Lisa Mills. And everything that I do and everything I create is for Lisa Mills. It helps you to pare down your decisions. So when you come to me and you say, how do I pitch? I'm going to ask you about your client avatar, because your pitch doesn't serve you. Your pitch serves Lisa Mills, or whatever your client avatar is. Your client avatar could be a man. It could be a woman. It could be a man and a woman. Just understand there are psychological differences. If you serve both men and women, you will need two different avatars. Your client avatar could be a business, right? Maybe you serve business owners. Maybe you want to serve all the McDonald's across the world, for example. Your client avatar would then be a business. But whenever you are pitching, it's not about you. It's about how you can serve them and what problem you can solve for them. You may even have to, one day, Judy, you may have to pitch for sponsors for your pies. In other words, people who, let's say you decide to do a cheesecake convention, a one-day convention where everyone can come to this plant-based event, and you have your cheesecakes there, and you've invited all these different vendors. And maybe you want sponsors, not investors, but sponsors. Then you also have to pitch those sponsors and show how this event is going to benefit them. And if you have different sponsors, the benefit to an athletic company, if some type of sports company wants to be my sponsor, is going to be different than the benefit is going to be to a hairstylist who comes. And I have to understand the differences. And the way that I understand the differences and the way that I pitch them is to understand their problems. People will pay not to be in pain long before they pay for pleasure. I wouldn't pitch them by saying, hey, come to my event because I'm going to have 100 people here or 1,000 people here. I wouldn't pitch them this way. I would pitch them by saying, I understand that you are hemorrhaging thousands of dollars a month in marketing, and you're still not getting the visibility that you deserve on your company, hairstylist or sports gooding store. But here is the deal. I'm going to give you an opportunity to stand in front of your ideal client in a room that's target rich with the people who you want to serve. And it's only going to cost you $500, for example, playing around with numbers, $500. And I'm going to give you the mic so you could talk about your company for about 2 minutes in front of your ideal client. Now, I can't help you with your pitch, but I can definitely put you in the spotlight to give you the visibility that you deserve. And that's going to save you tons on your marketing campaign. How does that sound to you?
That's good.
So you have to understand their problem, right? If there's a hairstylist that's new to Atlanta or El Paso, wherever I am at the time, I will pitch it just slightly different, right? But you have to understand their problems if you are going to pitch. So you have to study it. You can make a lot of money in this industry, loves, but it's not, I will tell you, it's not as easy as people think. People just think that, oh, if I just learn how to say something and I walk on stage, I can just make money. It requires some studying. And if you do not want to dedicate the time to study, you can hire people. We also have ChatGPT. ChatGPT, the history only goes back, a few years and before, but I mean, it only gives you data like up to 2019 or 2020 or something like that. So if you want current research stats for like last year, most artificial intelligence software can't give you that. But you can also go to sites like Stratica.com and you can get stats from there. You can find out about people's problems in their industry, in their sector from there. And then you can also, if you guys are looking into hiring a virtual assistant, but you're like, if I had a virtual assistant, what would I do with him or her? That's one of the tasks that they would do. They would do that research for you, right? And that's going to make you a lot of money. Some of you won't make money, as much money as you should be making because you're afraid to hire. But you're in the conundrum of, I need money to hire so that I can make money. But you need to hire now so that you can make the money, but you don't have the money. You got the money. If you just stop going to Starbucks like every day, like I do, that'll be your VA budget right there. Starbucks, $6 a day. You could hire a virtual assistant. All right. But you do need a team. At the minimum, you need a virtual assistant. You need a marketing architect, a marketing representative. If you got those two people on your team, you can go very far in this business. But I love that you, Joy, I love that you have a product.
Yes, I'm excited.
I'm excited for you, love. I love it. The product is everything. Let me search the chat. All right. Did I help you with your pitch, Judy?
Yeah, in some kind of ways.
Okay.
Can I read my pitch to you?
Yeah.
It's not super long.
How long is the pitch?
It probably take 2.5 minutes to read.
Okay, yeah, listen, this will be fun. And listen, as she reads her pitch, I'm going to challenge all of you to listen in. And this is the perfect opportunity to pour into Judy and type in the chat how it makes you feel. Or if there's a word that she could use, or like, for example, what some people do when they pitch, they come in and the first thing they do is talk about themselves because there's a strategy. You haven't earned the right to talk about yourself yet in your pitch. You got to talk about what's in it for them first, for example. So if you understand those things, you can get feedback. You can get feedback about what went really well, what you really liked. And if you see through constructive feedback, any improvements, type it in the chat. But go ahead. Yeah, let's hear it. 2.5 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah.
The mic is
Okay.
yours.
Okay, I sent this out to churches because I was looking to speak to women's groups and churches.
Okay.
Okay, my name is Judy Bentley, and I'm relatively new to the area. Native to California, I struck out over little than a year ago and moved across country to Georgia after having lost my parents and one of my sisters. In doing so, I knew that life would be different, but I didn't know just how very different. Simply said, I'm having to build life from the ground up here. Yet I realize that it's by God's design. I recently released a book titled 21 Days to God, How I Journaled My Way to the Voice of God, and I would love to have an opportunity to share more about my journey and my book with the women of your congregation. The key speaking points cover the following topics. One, how I got here, the surprise turn my life took that I never could have foreseen. Two, why I needed to hear God for myself. Three, why journaling helped me to hear God's voice. Four, the three most important steps you take as you journal. I chose faith over fear and followed the voice of God by releasing these raw and real journal entries that contain truths about my current life. Vulnerability is power. A few people are openly and honestly discussing the truth about where they stand when it comes to hearing God's voice for themselves. And I would like to change that. Given the chance, through the leading of the Holy Spirit, I believe that your congregation will find my journey interesting and insightful. Do you currently have any women's events, Bible studies, or small groups where I could share my story? Looking forward to hearing back from you, hoping that you enjoy further discussing the possibility of inspiring women to hear the voice of God.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love that call to action at the end. So we have to switch some stuff around. Let me ask you first though, when you send this out to them, how do they receive it? Through an email? Do they receive it on a 5x7 postcard? How are they receiving this information?
I've only done it through email, and a
Email.
lot of that has to do with my situation where, I currently have no car, have
Mm.
no income. So it's literally like a $0
Oh, I
situation.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, email is how I send it out. And when I did, because I'm an artist and, I do a few other things, after I sent this out and didn't get much of a response, well, it was time to paint again anyway. So I kind of backburnered it. I resent 2 weeks after the first time I sent, I think,
Mhm.
got a response. Somebody said, hey, we got it. And I'm going to forward it to whoever it went to.
Mhm.
And just was so exciting because I was heard. And they eventually told me, no, they were booked up. So they didn't, like, into
Yeah.
2025 or whatever. But it was just that, okay, I was heard. And nothing else from that.
Okay, listen, I love this. And this is what I'm going to say is going to help everyone here if you have not already gotten speaking gigs or paid speaking gigs. So the first thing I would say is when you first approach someone about speaking, don't vomit a lot of information on them. They only have a few minutes. They're not going to read its entirety. So when they open up their email, although I love the verbiage and how it flows and everything, when they open it up, they're going to look at it and they're like, oop, 2 minutes. That's the first thing. So the second thing I would say, when you first came on, it was like a lot of me, 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 and they've never heard of you. It's like if you've never heard of me and I send you an email out of all the millions of emails you receive all day, every day, and I'm like, hey, I'd love to come speak with you. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and then I graduated Towers High School in Atlanta, Georgia. Then I went off to college, and I went to the military. Then I wrote this book. Then me, 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 and that's what they're gonna hear. And they're gonna be like, well, I don't know you. One of the things that I would recommend that you do, and this is what we have to do in the speaking industry as well, is first understand that you show that you understand their problem. Hey, listen, are you struggling to create stewardship with the women in your church? Would you like to create more opportunities for them to fellowship together? Whatever their problems are with the women, do you need help getting the women to stand up in leadership positions for your church? Whatever the problems are that you know that most churches have, right? And you can spin the problems based off, because you had like 4 points, 4 talks that you have. I would extract the problems that those talks solve, because you give those talks for a reason. And I would turn it into are you struggling with? Do you need help with type of questions? And put that right there in the front. Then I would say, and even more so, you sending it, I would send you. Do you have like a cousin or a mom or a daughter or a son or a friend that you could like use as a silent partner?
Not really at this time.
Okay, then support. Then your email then would be like your email would be support@judy.com. And then you would say, boy, do I have the speaker for you, the presenter for you. Now, a lot of the times, if you know, do you have a speaker's fee, or are you gonna be doing this free? Are you speaking to get paid, or are you speaking for exposure?
Because I'm starting, I was speaking for exposure and wanting to have my books available for sales at the events and
Perfect.
move into paying for speaking.
Perfect. Then I would say, because a lot of times they won't contact you because money, then I would say, boy, do I have the speaker for you. In other words, this is coming from your support. Let's say your support name is Maria or something like that. You know, you can get a friend to just vouch out for this. So that way you're in integrity of being honest. Like, hey, can you cover down and be my virtual assistant? Only thing I need for you to do is to send emails. And I want to operate in the energy of integrity. Even Moses told God, hey, listen, are you sure? I can't speak. I can't go down and talk to people. And what did God say? Hey, go get with Aaron. He can be your spokesman, right? So you can find somebody to just be your virtual spokesman. And then boy, do I have the speaker for you. Now, her speaker's fee is normally $1,997. But she is willing to completely waive her speaker's fee and to come and be a guest to support your cause. Like, for example, Heidi, I spoke for you one time, right? And it was for for sexual assault awareness. And
Yeah,
because
it was veterans.
veterans, right? And because we don't have a non-disclosure agreement, I can say out loud that because if you have an NDA, you can't talk about prices and stuff like that. When it comes to stuff like that aligns with my mission in life, like I want to eradicate sexual violence. So a lot of the times I will waive my speaker's fee to do that. Either I'll say, hey, completely free, or I'll chop it in half. I'll really lower it, right? And so you can say something along those lines. Hey, listen, I really believe in this mission of uplifting women. And for that reason, I'm going to waive my speaker's fee. You're not doing it for free. I'm going to waive my speaker's fee. So now in this one short email, you have acknowledged that you understand their problem. And because you've done that, you're showing that you're the one to solve it. And then usually it's a question of money. You've gotten the question of money off the table. So you've made it what's called an irresistible offer is what you're creating. And if they want to know more about you, you put a link right there, and you say, to find out more about me or to schedule a free consultation, here's my link. And you just put a link right there. That link can go to Calendly if you have scheduling software. Calendly has free access. They also have a paid account, but you can set up a Calendly account for free so that it's professional. People can get reminders. Calendly. There it is in the chat, calendly.com. And then, or you can create a landing page with all that good information about you so they can read that separately. But in the speaking industry, we don't vomit a lot of information on our people. And then lastly, let me say, when you contact folks for speaking gigs, you have to have a follow-up plan because folks are constantly bombarded with emails and constantly being sold to all day. Facebook, Instagram, all these ads everywhere, right? And so you have to understand that in today's world, it takes about 8 to 9 tries. You have to touch them 8 to 9 times before they buy into you. 9 times out of 10. 8 to 9 times. Sometimes you can look up and get it for one time or 3 times, but you got to be in their face. I'm just going to say 8 to 10 because 8 to 9 sounds weird. 8 to 10 times, right? And so when you send these emails and you don't get any response, instead of feeling like, well, I can just go back to my art anyway, feel like, oh, that's 1, 7 more to go. And then you contact them again because fortune is in the what? Follow up. That's right. Thanks, Ms. Z. Fortune is in the follow up. You will have to follow up. And I think earlier I was about to talk about a follow up plan. But create a follow-up plan. I want you guys to go into the breakout for like 10 minutes and talk to each other. I want to get you guys in there. But you need a follow-up plan. So when you are reaching out to people, whether it's for speaking gigs, whether you're pitching and selling something, no matter what it is, your products, your services, understand that it's not you. It's not. It's just how the world is. You used to be able to get people the first time real easy. But now everybody is in everybody's ear. And when you understand that, you're like, oh, I got my second one out, my fifth one out. There are people in my communities that were with me for a year before they invested in my community. It took a year worth of programming, talking before they invested in. But let me say this, because I want to get you into your breakout rooms. I would definitely go to Facebook groups, like in my area, whatever state you live in, Facebook groups. And I would contact the women of worth, the women on the move, like the women within the church, the segment, not the pastor, not them. I would go straight to them because these ladies, they have Facebook pages everywhere. And I would contact them directly. And I would say, hey, do you need help doing this? Would you like for your ladies to learn this? You know, people normally pay me this much, because for people to understand that, oh my goodness, she normally charges $2,000. It puts some serious respect on your name. But she's willing to do this for free because she believes in it. They will contact you. They absolutely will, because those groups are always looking for help. They contact me all the time. Always looking for help. But just don't vomit a me. All right. Okay, Miss D, have a blessed day, my loves. Have a wonderful day. Does that help you, Judy?
Yeah, that does help. And the funny thing is, right when you started to talk and you said, don't start with Mimi, and I was like,
yep, don't start with me.
My name at the top. That, and then the other thing is, I wasn't so much discouraged when I didn't get more responses back, so I transferred to art for that reason. It was just literally time for a show, so I had to create some pieces,
okay.
And then I just didn't come back to it.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to Stevie, and then I'm going to get you guys into a small breakout room. But yeah, please, and create a battle rhythm for those of you that want to get more speaking gigs. In other words, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., that is your time to send out correspondence. There's nothing wrong with email. To send out correspondence to different folks in which you can speak face-to-face or digitally, or do it twice a week. But the more seeds you plant, the bigger the harvest will be. All right. So, but set a time. Don't just do it sporadically. Be consistent. Look at your calendar and say every Monday from 9 to 10, every Thursday from 1 to 2 or 1 to 4, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to contact all these different folks and send them the same email. Just change out the problem a little bit. And that way, and create that Calendly account if you don't have scheduling software. That way you streamline it. That way, if they're interested, they can take action right now. Click a button. They ain't got to respond and be like, yes, I am interested. What do you do and what do you talk about? They can take action, get on your calendar right now, and then you can take them to the next level. Okay, let's move on to Stevie. Stevie, what you got, love?
Hey, I'm just going to add, I've been so stuck for so long, and all of your everything has been so helpful. One other thing you said, important thing to have is a virtual assistant and a marketing architect. I finally went to the women's business centers, and there's people that are in business, and there's so much help. I wouldn't go because it's like, I'm not far enough, and I'm not far enough because I haven't asked somebody for help. So
Right.
That's a great resource. That's free. And then you get also the accountability built in. So it might be a great resource if there's not resources available right now, since you're not available.
Thank you so much, Stevie. And I put in the chat Women's Business Center. Contact your local women's business center. There are so many different organizations that you can just join, and it just will pay dividends to your vision, to your business. All right. So listen, I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes. Just go into the breakout room and talk to each other. You have a few choices. You can go in and talk about networking, marketing. You can talk about, I think, speaking ideas in there, or you could talk about gratitude. It is up to you. Now, if you get in a room and nobody is in there, then, go to another room, and eventually all of you will probably end up in the same room. That's usually what happens anyway, right? But if you find one good sister to talk to, just stay in and talk to her. Have your social media handles ready, or your scheduling software. ready so that way you can go and talk to each other on another level. Let me open up these breakout rooms here while I'm talking. You're going to self-select and just hop around. It's fine if you don't have your cameras on. You can tune in, podcast out. That's absolutely fine. But we're going to do this for about 10 minutes and then we're going to break for the day. All right. So the breakout rooms are open now. You can go ahead and hover and just join, press join to join any one of the rooms. If you're on a cell phone, you may have to go to more on your cell phone and then breakout room. Great. Judy went into marketing ideas and Sandra went into network with me. Let's see. Joy is in gratitude. You guys all spread out now. Let's see. Stevie was in gratitude. All right. Let's see. All right. 2, 2, and 2. This is looking good. All right.